Populations evolve every day. For example, populations of disease-causing organisms, such as multi-drug-resistant tuberculosis bacteria, evolve. The Siberian prison in the PBS documentary, Why Does Evolution Matter Now?, is ground zero for the evolution of TB. By taking antibiotics, we change that environment of our body, which may kill some bacteria. Bacteria that can survive in the presence of the antibiotic have an advantage over those that are killed. The increase of multi-drug-resistant TB bacteria in the body illustrates Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection. The essential questions we wish to answer are: how is antibiotic resistance selected for in humans with a bacterial infection? What is natural selection? And what is Darwin's model? The module will explore how TB bacteria can survive and increase in some patients. This is the power of Darwin's theory. It can be used to explain the evolution of organisms that Darwin did not even know about, like bacteria. In the following slides, we will ask a question about the current problem of multi-drug-resistant TB at the top. And at the bottom, we will show how that question can be answered by Darwin's theory. So let's begin. How fast can TB bacteria reproduce? A single bacterium can reproduce over 1 million times in a human lifetime. This means that each bacterium can become 1 million bacteria. Another way of thinking about this is to say that the number of bacteria can double about every 20 minutes when the environment allows. Darwin didn't study bacteria, but he studied other populations. In his theory, he stated that populations can reproduce exponentially. How long can bacteria survive in a patient? TB is a chronic disease, and many people can harbor a TB infection for many years. A patient would not be able to survive if the bacteria continued to reproduce exponentially. Darwin also observed that successful populations grow, but eventually their numbers stabilize. In his theory, Darwin stated a second fact: populations are stable. So what are the limits to what the human host can provide for the bacteria? Eventually, a sick patient cannot support the bacteria that have multiplied in their lungs. The warm, moist, and nutrient-rich environment becomes depleted. When the population size exceeds what the environment can support, the patient will die. Unless the bacteria move to a new individual, that is to say, the bacteria find a new environment, they will become extinct. How can the population continue to exist? How are the tuberculosis bacteria able to spread? Tuberculosis bacteria spread by traveling through the air when infected individuals cough or sneeze. In a similar way, Darwin stated in his theory that resources are limited. Are all of the bacterial cells in a population the same? If not, how are they different? Although they may look the same under the microscope, the bacterial cells are not identical in their genetics. Their fast rate of reproduction means that they have many chances to mutate. So there may be many genetic differences among the individuals in a bacterial population. In his theory, Darwin stated that individuals are unique. He did not understand genetics, but he knew that there was variability within a population of the same species. Are the differences among bacterial cells inherited? Yes, because those differences are found in their genome. Bacteria reproduce by means of binary fission, so they pass on all their genes to the offspring. Unlike sexually reproducing organisms who only contribute half of their genes to each of their offspring. So once a bacterium has a mutation that makes it resistant to the antibiotic, all their offspring will be resistant. Thus, Darwin stated that individual variation can be inherited, and we now know this variation is found in the genes of the organism. Why do some bacterial cells survive in a human host and others do not? When a patient takes an antibiotic, Why doesn't the antibiotic kill all of the bacteria? Darwin's first inference was that there is a struggle for existence among individuals. Some of the bacteria have a mutation that allows them to survive in the presence of the antibiotic, and some do not. The mutation occurred randomly, but some mutated bacteria, unlucky for the human host, were able to proliferate despite the presence of the antibiotic. Remember that an inference is a conclusion arrived at by reasoning about the evidence. How does the number of offspring of these mutated bacteria affect the population of bacteria in the body? The bacteria that did not have the mutation have all died. The bacteria with the mutation will have more offspring since they were able to survive. Darwin inferred that there would be differential survival among individuals in a population. How does the bacterial population change over time? If the mutations were not present in the population, the patient would now be well. But instead, the entire population became resistant to all of the antibiotics that were given to the patient. So now the bacterial population has changed. This population change is what Darwin referred to as evolution. Here is a summary of how Darwin developed his explanatory model of evolution, put together in graphic form by Ernst Mayr. The first three facts, populations can reproduce exponentially, populations are stable, and resources are limited, led Darwin to conclude that there must be a struggle for existence. If organisms struggle to survive, some have mutations, which allow them to be better adapted to their environment. They will pass their ability to survive in the presence of the antibiotic onto their offspring. So individuals' variations can be inherited. And their offspring will have the same mutation. So some individuals will survive and some will not. They will have differential survival. The environment determines who lives and who dies. Thus, nature controls who is naturally selected. Darwin's theory of natural selection is supported by a great deal of evidence from organisms he did not know about or study. It is a powerful, unifying theory in biology.